This is my brand new Minecraft hardcore world. Since I haven't played hardcore in absolutely ages, like literally since the first series I've ever put out on this channel, I am going to immediately get started before that sun sets. Now, aside from the basics of a first Minecraft night that we all know, I do have a few extra challenges for myself as well. Trying to find some sheep over here, and it looks like we've got some right here. So I can make myself my first crafting table, throw some sticks in there, and make ourselves an axe. Which is strange because I usually make the wooden pickaxe first, but change of scenery is nice, I suppose, which is why we're doing hardcore. Which is also why I installed some very, very intense shader packs. Hopefully my computer does not explode. So now we can take this, make ourselves a bed, which is basically the cheat code to all Minecraft Hardcore Survival Let's Plays. So hopefully that means we're set. I believe that is a shipwreck. It looks like stairs, which do not spawn naturally. I think we're gonna grab some of this sugarcane and head over to that shipwreck. Actually, I am skipping so many steps. I first am gonna make myself that wooden pickaxe that I was talking about earlier. Then we can get ourselves into the Stone Age. Grab ourselves some of this coal as well, which we can use to smelt up all of our food from earlier. And just like that, we are now a little bit more prepared to go check out that shipwreck. Looks like we've got tons of emeralds and some lapis lazuli, as well as a few gold ingots. And I believe that's the only chests that spawn in like tipped over ships like this. So I think we're gonna move on to this little guy right here and see if we can find anything in this one. There's a chest right here, got some wheat. And luck of the sea too. Now, how lucky we talking here? Oh, that's kind of pretty, isn't it? Oh, I love these shaders. You know what's not pretty? Cod. That is not luck of the sea too. So now that we've gone adventuring, I think I want to go wandering off a little farther past our island and see if we can't find ourselves a village. And I do have a map mod installed, which means we can look around us and see if any are in range, but it doesn't look like there is going to be any. So I think we'll just go in this direction. I'm trying to stay sort of near the main island just because I thought that was a really cool spawn. So that's eventually where I want to build all of my stuff, which is why it would be very useful if we could find a village sort of close to the island. Come on, boat. It's gonna be a long trip. Ooh, boy, that is a cave. I'll probably mark these coordinates, but definitely not ready for that. More drowned things above the water? Is this a common occurrence and I just didn't realize? I mean, I am dumb enough to do that sometimes, but to my knowledge, you guys are supposed to be below the water. I feel like me being here is just spawning like infinitely more of them. Luckily, you know, I get out of the water and they're just like, oh yeah, pause, you're right. I don't pursue chases very well. That much hassle over some coal. Got it. But we do have a buried treasure map, which has the potential of giving us some diamonds. Ooh, absolutely. Anything pretty and purple, I will take. And now for the other ones. Yeah. 2 buried treasure maps. Hopefully they don't just go to the exact same place. I guess there's only one way to test that. Got this one and the exact same one. Got it. And I believe if we head in this direction, yep, it is filling up on our map, which means it's somewhere over here. You. Are you the guardian of my treasure, sir? Anyways, let's make sure we're actually on the X and get it right here. Yes. Okay, perfect. I was really hoping I wouldn't have to go mining for all of the iron, just because I'd like a shield before I go down there and things are scary. So the fact that all of this loot is in here is perfect. Perfect. Okay, we have spotted a village on the map. So I think we might as well full send over there. And luckily, like I was saying, it's mostly close to the island. Okay, first things first, we're going to steal all of their food because I am almost out. Ooh, that looks dangerous. Be safe, piggy. I'm also going to steal their books. And frankly, this is the biggest house. Oh, hi. Not me, just, you know, casually planning your house takeover. This is fine, right? I'll camp up here. This is fine, right? I don't think he likes this idea. Can you believe you don't want to be sleepover buddies? How rude. For now, we can just make this downstairs area our chest area and the upstairs the sleep area. And of course, before I forget, I guess I have to place them in pattern form. I was like, oh, those look way prettier underneath the water. How do I rotate this? Where did my fourth one go? How? How did I? My stupidity is beyond measures some days. Okay, this is simple. It is a pattern. It is a simple pattern. Why won't you work? I'm talking to my brain, not the block. There we go. Beautiful rug. Oh, that was not much effort at all. So now that we have the place decorated, I'm thinking, just for the funsies, I want to take a leather cap and some of our lapis lazuli that we found, make some blue dye, grab ourselves a red flower, which will make us some red dye, which then makes us purple dye, and trust me, this is getting somewhere, which then makes us a purple cap, which adorably matches our floor. Entirely unnecessary, but I wanted that side quest. So now that we have our village, I'm just going to take down our coordinates, craft ourselves up an iron pickaxe. We can make ourselves our remaining armor piece. Then we can finally hop back in our boat and head towards the mines. I want to go back to that big scary cave that we found. I am so glad I stopped for that. I just stopped for a random shipwreck and I'm so glad that I did. Goodness, that is almost all the iron that we're going to need, to be honest. We're still gonna head over to that cave though, because I need some diamonds. Some of the building blocks for my starter base that I've selected are unfortunately locked in the Nether, which means we're gonna need some diamonds and some obsidian to go get them. And just right there should be that massive cave entrance that we found earlier. I don't think this is actually the same one. Hold up. It is not. Okay, I jumped ship a little too soon. I saw this one, and I meant to go to this one. And now we are at the massive cave from earlier. That looks much more familiar and promising. Need to be careful to not look at that Enderman. And now all we need to do is collect a good chunk of all of this iron and find ourselves some diamonds, all while avoiding these guys. Perfect. First diamonds. That was actually really high up as well, because we're only at -16. Hopefully that good luck continues. Oh boy. Big open scary cave. Hit my zoom button instead of my shield. That was smart. And a few more underneath it, which should be enough for us to make a diamond pickaxe. Definitely after this one. Twice over. And I believe all I need to do, first of all, is go mine those diamonds. And then next, I want to find myself a lava pool and more diamonds. Oh my goodness, this is a good cave. And I am definitely not a speedrunner. So instead of trying to do a lava portal trick, failing, and then losing this whole hardcore world, I'm just going to make a diamond pickaxe. That way I can take my water bucket, pour it right over it, and instant obsidian. Now I just need to mine a bunch of obsidian until we have enough for another portal and for an enchanting table. And just like that, we should have plenty. So now we should be ready to head back home. And by home, I mean the village. I do have some bones. And there is a doggy over here. Might see if I can grab him. Hello, good boy. You see that achievement? Yeah, means we're gonna be best friends forever. Ever. Doggy, there's no escaping, okay? That's how to creep your dog out in 2 seconds. If you guys have any name suggestions for him, and also for this guy over here that I might be able to tame, then leave them in the comments, and I'll try to get some name tags for both of these guys. But for now, it's back to the village. Hopefully these guys can swim alright. And now that we're back at the village, we can set our dogs down out here so that they can hang out in the yard together. And then we can go into here and dump everything that we collected off, which was quite a bit. The next thing that I would like to do is start prepping for a little bit better of a house than this. Now you've probably already seen it in the thumbnail, but I do already have a house plan in mind. I've already gone ahead and built it in a creative world as a schematic, which is just using the Litematica mod. And if you don't know what that is, it basically just creates a ghost of another build into your survival world so that you know how to build it. Considering it is very complicated, at least by my standards, I do want to do quite a few things to get ready. First being crafting up a full set of iron armor, which means we'll have to say goodbye to the purple helmet for a moment, and the gold boots. Not as important. Then we can start upgrading some of our tools. The next thing that I want to do with those diamonds is craft ourselves up an enchanting table, as well as some bookshelves. Only a few bookshelves though, but hopefully this should be able to get us a slightly better enchantment. 9. That was at 8 like 2 minutes ago, which is fine, I suppose. But let's see if we can get any like efficiencies on all of our stuff. So now that we have some better armor and tools, there is a lot of things that we're going to need to work on. So I think I'm just going to tackle it one at a time. Starting off with an iron farm. And I'll also link this farm as well as all the other farms that I use in this video in the description in case you guys want to use them. The farm that I chose is a super simple early game build, as long as these guys don't get in the way. All we have to do is build a 5x5x2 hole. Then going right next to it, we make a 7x5 outline. Then we're going to make that outline 2 blocks tall. Then on the side that is towards our hole, we're going to place 3 workstations. Spawn proof it with buttons, add some beds in front of it, and then we can turn around and start placing some slabs right here. This is going to protect our zombie so that he doesn't burn up in the sun, and he won't despawn because we're going to put him in this boat. We also need to spawn proof this area. Then we can add some blocks on the side so villagers can come in and link up with the workstations. And now that we have 3 villagers in here, we can close that off. And now we want to go to this block that is just diagonal from those slabs, and we're going to make 7 blocks outward be path blocks. This time going from the corner and doing 7 blocks as well. Now we can make all the blocks in the middle of those into path blocks. Once everything is path blocks, we also have to make up here at the top of the wall path blocks as well. Now that the only spot that the iron golems can spawn is down in this hole, we can go down here and dig out a 3-block area where we can place both of our chests and a hopper going into it. Now we're going to place all of the signs that will hold our lava in, just doing 2 layered signs on each wall and 1 on the hopper, which we can then place our lava on. Next we can place our water in all 4 corners, which will flow any iron golems that spawn in here into the center to be burned by the lava. Then place a boat in our villager container, and finally we just need to get a zombie into this boat, which if I guide him through here, he should sit down just like that. And already we have an iron golem that has spawned, which means that the farm is functional. So with our first objective completed, now what I'm going to do is take this farm and duplicate it. 2 more times should probably give us enough iron for our next task. So now we have 1 up here and 2 down here. And this one has been working very, very well, as you can tell, which means that we are ready to move on to phase number 2, which is getting a bunch of villagers so that I can start trading with them. So if we dig out a little area next to the iron farm full of a bunch of beds, then they should be able to breed with all of that wheat that I gave them. And now we can take all of our workstations over here to the villagers, and I just need 2 librarians, an armorsmith, and a toolsmith. Now all we need to do is upgrade the armorsmith and the toolsmith, and then eventually they will start buying iron. Alright, we've got a few more emeralds. We really didn't get too much besides the name tag, so once again, the luck of the C2 definitely failed us. But now that this guy has been upgraded, he will now purchase our iron ingots. So we can take everything that I've been collecting so far, and then we can come back over to this guy and trade it all. To help speed that along, we can get another armorer and use all the emeralds that we're getting from selling to this guy to upgrade this guy. Okay, so after a very long time and lots and lots and lots and probably lots more trading for very, very useless items, I have created this little makeshift trading hall in here. So if I go in here, I can show you. I have upgraded my toolsmith, and I also have this one over here that offers the axe. And then I went down to just 1 armorer because I realized that when you get him to master, he gives you the full diamond armor set anyways, which I thought you needed 2 villagers for that, so that definitely reduced the amount that we needed. And besides that, I have 3 librarians, one of which I happened to get a really lucky mending book trade, so I locked that in really quick with the bookshelf. So now while I'm down here, I have 2 tasks. I need to trade all of this iron for full diamond armor and full diamond tools. And while we're waiting for all of that iron to generate, I need to start re-rolling both of these villagers so that we can get a Fortune 3 villager and a Silk Touch villager. I paused my recording at some point in time, but all I did was get our Fortune 3 villager as well as our Silk Touch villager, bought both of those books, and then used all of the iron to get some emeralds to buy all of our diamond armor. Now if we sell the rest of our iron, then we can afford all of the diamond tools as well. Now we already had our own diamond tools, but I figured having diamond tools as backups wouldn't be a terrible idea. Now I just need to build myself an anvil and apply both of our Fortune 3 and our Silk Touch books. And although we did just upgrade all of our armor to diamond, I am gonna grab these gold boots because we now need to make a temporary nether portal. Oh, this is a terrible, terrible spawn. Oh, you're kidding. Still a basalt. Okay, well, I'm gonna do my best to spawn proof this main area. And now we should be able to safely build ourselves a bee farm. The first thing that we're going to need is a bee nest. I'm going to need about 5 of these, so I can accomplish this by growing up some birch saplings, which are surrounded by some flowers. And they have a very small percentage chance of spawning the bee nest that we need. Then once you get a beehive, you wait for the bees to go inside, and then you pick it up with a Silk Touch tool. Now that we have all of the bees' nests that we're going to need and all of the other materials, we can head on into the Nether. And because the Nether has no day and night cycle, this farm will operate a little bit more efficiently. This farm is super simple. All it is a glass enclosed case for all of those bees. They've got some flowers so they can pollinate their nests. And if you head back here, you can kind of see all of the redstone. There's also redstone all along the top. And if I craft myself a bunch of shears, we can fill up these dispensers right at the top, which are facing down into the nest. That way, every time one of these bee nests fills with honey, it will shear it and give us honeycomb. And while that chest is filling up, I want to go grab some glowstone, which there is a giant chunk right next to my nether spawn. So we can just grab this with our Fortune 3 pickaxe, and a stack and a half should be plenty for us to work with. And the reason that we needed the glowstone was so we could craft the observers, which we will need to build our sheep farm. I've flattened out an area right here for it, first adding in the dispenser with a piece of redstone dust in front of it. Then we can dig 3 blocks behind the dispenser and 3 blocks down, placing 2 chests at the back with a hopper going into them. Then right on top of this hopper, we can add a rail, and on top of that, we can do a minecart hopper. And with our collection system complete, we can fill in this hole a little bit and cover up the very end with a trapdoor. Now for the top part of the farm, we can place a dispenser going this way on top of the observer, add in some shears, and then encase the area right here with glass. Now this farm is technically ready, it just needs some sheep. But before we do that, I need to duplicate it 4 more times. And now that all of those have been duplicated, I unfortunately was not able to find a sheep while I was working on getting some bee nests. So we'll have to go take a look around and see if we can find some. Then we just need to bring them all over to the farm. And now that we have all of these sheep farms running, it is time to build the very first portion of my base. Now, a couple of days ago, I posted a YouTube short which said that I would mine the same amount of dirt for how many views that video got. And currently that's sitting at around 579. So in order to start building up my base, I need to flatten out almost this entire area. I've currently mined about 295 dirt, so to complete this challenge, I need to make sure that I mine at least 874 dirt total. And just like that, our area is completely cleared out. It took significantly more dirt than I expected, and more than was required in the challenge, but that is totally fine because now we have just enough space to place down our schematic. And the first thing that I want to add to this is our wall. For that, we're gonna head to the Nether and grab a ton of blackstone. And after using a bunch of that pickaxe, we now have a ton of blackstone and unfortunately, 1 less golden apple. I didn't mean to, but I jumped in lava and now we have 1 less, but it's fine. Now all we have to do is come up to the schematic and this will now tell us where we need to place all of our blackstone for our fence. Now with a lot more work done to the outside, we can start making our way towards the inside wall. Now the next step is to take some of the wood that we chopped from these trees and turn them into some slabs. Then I can go along our blackstone outline and place them right on top. This area right here is eventually going to house some sheep, since I figured that sheep farm right over there will produce a lot but not quite enough. Plus I wanted a little bit of organic farming as well. And these slabs will prevent those sheep from being able to jump out. Then we can grab some sheep from our farm, bring them into the pens, and start breeding them. And in order to breed all of these guys, we're going to need a farm that's a little bit better than this. So if we load back up our schematic, we can see where all of these wheat fields are going to go. So this may look a little bit confusing, but it is the outline for our base. And all of these little holes right here mean that we need to fill it in with some water. Then we can cover up those water spots with some slabs and start tilling everything around them. Then all we need to do is grow some of our seeds, which can be sped up with bone meal. And based off the progress so far, we're gonna need a lot of bone meal. Luckily, one of the blocks in my palette is bone block. So I think we can kill 2 birds with 1 stone by building ourselves a bone meal farm. This farm actually worked perfectly. It's a very, very long way down there, so let me show you really quick through freecam. If you head over here right next to our birch tree forest, there's 2 little holes right here. 1 is our exit, which is a bubble elevator, and 2 is just a hole down into some water. And once you've dropped into the water, you get into this area, which you can see why I didn't want to run this again just to show you. It takes a long time to get over here. But then what you do is just drop down this hole right in front of the other bubble elevator, and it takes you right down here back to where I am. So now that we're all regrouped on how to get here, this is pretty much the main hub of what is going to make it work. So as you can see, we've got a bunch of skeletons popping up right here. And we can either leave the farm running like this, where we can just punch them for some XP, which is also a pretty cool bonus. Or we can use them for the purpose that we intended by lighting the campfire. That was a lot. And once the skeletons come down, they've already taken fall damage, just like that guy, and they'll die very quickly to the campfire. And then all of their loot will come down here into the bottom chest. And all of this is powered by these guys spawning in this room right here. So as you can see, we found a skeleton spawner, filled up all of the walls, removed any light, so it is very, very dark in there. And then all they do is get pushed by that water down to this stream and get pushed up a bubble elevator where they land back into our farm. It's pretty simple. Oh, I have so many arrows in my face. It's a pretty simple skeleton spawner farm if you've ever made one, which I'm assuming you guys have because it's one of the basics. So now that we have our fire going, I'm going to hop down into here, into my AFK room, and see just how many bones we can get. And just like that, we have a ton of bones for us to start working with. And as an added bonus, we also got a ton of arrows. Now we can head back up to the surface with these and use all of these bones for bone meal, which we can then use on all of our wheat and give it to all of our sheep in the outer circle. Next, I want to start mining a bunch of these spruce trees so that we can get a bunch of these spruce logs, which hopefully this should be enough for our next section. And we should now be able to have enough resources to start working on the base. So if we place back down our schematic, we can head into here and start placing down a bunch of these blocks. So now we've got a very messy general outline going here. We can switch over from using our stripped spruce logs to filling everything in with some spruce planks. And with all of that in, it's starting to look a little bit more comprehensible. Now we just need to take all of our bone block and use them to build the top portion of the building just like this. Next up, we can take all of our blackstone, which I've been very painfully collecting in the Nether for us, and make an outline for the roof. Now all we have left in this build is to finish up filling in the roof, which is going to take a lot of copper. We're going to need roughly 5,000 blocks, and I don't really feel like mining that by hand, so we are going to make one last farm. So I've got all of this stuff that we're going to need in my inventory, and this farm is going to be very similar to our skeleton farm, only this time we're going to be using a zombie spawner. So first things first, we need to clear out a 4x4x4 area around this spawner. Then once we have that, we can start working on a conversion tunnel. And then finally, we can build ourselves a collection system. And with that, that is the entire system complete. Now we can head back into the main spawning room and turn off our torches, which should start spawning some zombies. And as the zombies spawned, they'll be pushed from the back wall down through here, where they'll be suspended underwater just long enough that they'll end up turning into drowns. And just in case we have any pesky baby zombies, we also have some cobblestone walls on this bottom layer with some magma blocks, which will burn those guys. Now that the farm is built and it's working perfectly, I have installed an auto clicker for myself, which means we may have to go get a couple more swords, but in concept we should be able to AFK this farm now. So I'm just gonna do that until we have enough copper, because trust me, this is probably gonna take a while. And after a lot of time and a lot of swords, I can hop down here and show you guys that we are not even remotely close to our goal. Sad, I know. I've been filling up these 3 middle chests currently with copper. I was hoping to have filled all 3 of these chests with copper ingots, like full stacks, but that was a lot harder than I anticipated. So for now, this is what we've got. And if I don't want to take another 4 months to get this video out, I'm gonna have to just use what we got. So if we take all of this copper really quick, barely 2-3 inventories, we can craft these up into some copper blocks. They were about 3.5 inventories, I stand corrected. And that gives us about 7.5 stacks of blocks of copper, which is really good in literally any other situation, except for the roof that I'm trying to make. So let's grab the rest of our stuff that I kind of just abandoned down here. Then we can head back to the surface to our house, and then we can go ahead and start adding them to the house. Now I'm thinking I'm gonna probably take my thumbnail somewhere around this angle. So all we really have to do is fill in that space, that side space, that, and the tower. I say it like it's easy, but that's basically the majority of the house. So hopefully we've got enough copper for that. And just like that, the roof from this angle is finished. Now, 2 things. One is I think I vastly overestimated in my math how much copper we were going to need, because I still have 4 whole stacks of blocks, sorry. And then 2, I used the wrong type of copper blocks, I realized about halfway through, but I kind of like it just the way it is. So it's supposed to be like the cut copper blocks, which yeah, I figured it was that easy. It's supposed to be something more like that, so the squares are a little bit smaller, but I'm kind of okay with the big squares. However, I would also be okay just mining it all back up and placing it with the small squares. So if it matters to you guys, just let me know in the comments, and I'll totally do that if you would like. In fact, any of this build, if you guys have some suggestions. I'm most definitely not a builder, so any constructive criticism and tips would be appreciated. And finally, because copper does have an oxidization process, we need to head back into the Nether. Oh, scary. And then we can check out our bee farm, which was running for quite a few hours earlier in the episode. Really doubt we're gonna need that much actually. And I believe we just take that honeycomb and add it. There we go. So it should stay in that form now. Probably should have done that before I put it on the base, but now I get to run around the base and try to wax all the copper. And with that, the base and this video is officially complete. This took me literally forever. I don't even know how to put into words how long it took. For starters, it's day 189. It has been over 4 IRL months and over 9 hours of footage, which will be very fun to edit. We've done tons of cool stuff, like building this really cool base, building our automatic sheep farms. We went to the Nether and built that bee farm. We also built a very efficient skeleton bone farm, as well as a not as efficient, but still completely functional drown farm. And of course, last to be said, but the first farms that we built, we still have those 3 iron farms back at the village. All of that together was a very, very successful episode. So if you guys did happen to enjoy, which I hope you did, then please do consider subscribing, because I would love to see you guys in the next episode. And speaking of next episodes, here's a couple that I think that you would enjoy.